and you're listening to WSE Lounge. Hello, Play 9. This is Little Wheel, former ECW Tag Team Champion and two-time former ECW Cruiserweight Champion, and you're listening to WSE Lounge. My children, this is Thomas Solo of My Sword Wrestling, and you're listening to the WSE Lounge. All right, guys, Jennifer Murdoch, three-time WWE Tag Team Champion, and you're listening to the WSE Lounge. This is Tony Blanchard, and you are listening to WSE Lounge.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another great edition of the WSE Lounge, wrestling edition, that is. I'm your host, as always, Brian. Before we get to today's show with today's guest, I want to let you know if you have any questions, call in at 845-277-9143 and press 1 to be in the host's view. And today's guest is the son of one half of the Fantastics, Bobby Fulton. His name is the Good Doctor. He is a wrestling booker, a promoter, an agent, a wrestler, and a manager. Please welcome the Good Doctor to the WSE Lounge.
Hey, how you doing?
Hey, I'm doing good. How are you doing?
Doing really well. Sitting here in China Grove, North Carolina. It looks like it's probably gonna rain later on today and everything, but sitting here getting ready to have a meal with my pastor who pastors at Genesis Baptist Church. If anybody's listening to it and lives in North Carolina, I always recommend everybody on Facebook and everything to go to Genesis Baptist Church in Salisbury, North Carolina, or China Grove, North Carolina, as some people call it and everything. It's on Old Concord Road, really good church and everything.
That's
sitting here in China Grove, which was the hometown of fabulous Jackie Fargo.
That's wonderful, and everybody go check out that great church in Hickory. You said Hickory, North Carolina, right?
China Grove, North Carolina.
China Grove, North Carolina. Go check out that great church in China Grove, North Carolina. And speaking of rain, Good Doctor, it rained here earlier today. It also rained yesterday, so I know what that's like. It seems like the weather changes from day to day. It's one day it's hot, one day it's cold.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you though, getting into this interview, what was it like for you as a kid growing up as the son of one half of the Fantastics, Bobby Fulton? I mean, when did you know? At what age did you know that your dad was a wrestler that was on television and stuff and known all throughout the world?
Well, I was born in 1999, which my father wasn't really on the TV after 99, and everything, April of 1999. He did do a tour of Japan for IWA in Japan, which had him and Tommy over there, and I think they had Ted DiBiase, one version of the Leatherfaces, the guys who carried the chainsaw, I think. And they had a bunch of other guys. I saw that, which was a poster and everything. I thought that was cool back then and everything. Kind of during that time, I was wondering where my dad was when he was in Japan and everything, because I was a little kid and everything. But yeah.
Wow. So do you have any as you got older and everything in the business and everything growing up? Do you have any backstage stories or anything that you can tell the audience that you thought were funny or that you experienced while on the road with some of the other wrestling talents out there?
Well, when I was little, me and my brother would go backstage. My dad would work for Carolina Championship Wrestling, which was a great promotion. If you have the High Spots Network, I'm sure you can find many of the shows on there. Because I think High Spots taped them all. And my dad was performing and everything about every month for Carolina Championship Wrestling, which they had shows in Lenore, North Carolina. And they bring in Dusty Rhodes and they bring in Tully Blanchard and all those guys, you know, from way back then. Abdullah the Butcher, sometimes they'd bring him in. Also, my dad during that time was running his own shows and everything, but yeah, it was really good. One of the things about Carolina Championship Wrestling, though, my dad brought me and my brother backstage every once in a while to see some of his friends and stuff, like Dusty Rhodes and all of them. And Dusty Rhodes would always call me and my brother his boys, which me and my brother always liked, you know, because Dusty Rhodes is an icon of professional wrestling, you know.
Yes, he was, you know, he is and he was, and you know, I always loved the interview he did, the Hard Knocks. You know,
Mm-hmm.
that was one of the greatest promos I think ever that any wrestling personality laid out there. And you know, I know it was very, very neat for you and everything growing up in the business. And you know, as you said, you were born in '99, so your dad wasn't really wrestling too much then, but he was owning different promotions and stuff. One guy in particular I want to ask you about, though, is if you can tell the viewers out there, and you can tell me, how did you first meet Abdullah the Butcher and get acquainted with such a talent like him?
Well, in 1977, my grandfather, which I'm a third-generation professional wrestling promoter, as my grandfather would run the events in 1977. Well, back in the early 90s, my dad was doing a lot of promoting as well with my grandpa and everything. And during that time, they'd bring in Abdullah Butcher, Wahoo McDaniels, and all those guys way back then. Jim Duggan, the original Doink the Clown. We never did have a fake Doink the Clown. I know some people had said that there was a Doink at our shows and stuff, and some people claimed it was fake due to the amount of fake Doinks, but the only Doink we ever had was Matt Osborne. We had several guys there. And during that time, Abdullah would work for us and everything. And first time I met him, I think he had a match that night with my father. It was my dad and my uncle against a guy called Killer Kent II and Abdullah Butcher. And we all know how an Abdullah Butcher match goes. And I kind of always liked that style of wrestling, the hardcore wrestling, you know, with the blood and everything, you know.
Well, that's very interesting. You know, speaking of fake, I do want to bring this up, and then I'm gonna tell you two funny stories about Abdullah. You know, I know you said in the promotion that your dad had. You know, y'all never had a fake Doink the Clown. You always had Matt Osborne, and I know that you know, from interviewing Dale Wilkes, the Patriot, on the show before. You know, he's a friend of mine and everything, and I know you know Dale very well. Dale's never been happy about another guy by the name of Tom I believe his name is Tom Brandy. I believe it is. That, you know, goes around, and I think he does the Patriots gimmick at different indie shows. And, you know, Dale's told me plenty of times, he says, you know, I've never gave him permission to do any of that, you know, and I don't know why he keeps doing that, you know. But
well, here's how that
Dale...
is. Legally, Tom Brandy has full right to be the Patriot. It's legal matters. Honky Tonk Man had purchased the trademark, the Patriot, when your buddy Dale Wilkes was sitting in a jail cell, you know, which was part of his past and everything. And I appreciate that he does the religious stuff, you know, preaching and everything I've seen on the internet. And during that time, Honky Tonk Man had bought a bunch of names. I think he bought Jake Roberts' name, but a bunch of others, you know, because Vince had let the names go because he had no use for them because those guys weren't wrestling for him or doing anything for him at the moment. And he bought it, and Honky Tonk Man gave Tom Brandy the permission to be the Patriot.
Oh, wow. Well, I appreciate you filling me in on that, Dylan, because I had no earthly idea. You learn you learn something new every day. You know, as they say. So I appreciate you letting me in on that because I didn't have no idea how that story went. Abdullah the Butcher, though, two funny stories I'll tell you. I know you probably knew the late Helen Rhodes. She was Helen Alls. She was the mother of Randy Rhodes that wrestles. Well, I got the chance. It was a couple years ago. I got the chance to go to Randy's house where he grew up at here in Georgia, and I got to meet Helen before she passed and everything. And Helen was talking to me. She said, you know, I'm gonna tell you something about Abdullah the Butcher. I said, what is it? She said, do you know that every Thanksgiving, she said, we have him over at the house and he has Thanksgiving dinner with us. I said, are you kidding me? She said, no. She said, he's as nice as can be. She said, I know he carries a fork around and all that and, you know, and scares people, but she said, we have him over every Thanksgiving for Thanksgiving dinner, so he's the nicest guy. And I said, well, that's pretty cool. And then another story about Abdullah, when my late brother was living, we went to a show and Abdullah was there, and I'm gonna tell you, I've never been frightened of a wrestler when I meet him, but Abdullah scared me, and you know my brother he said go on up to him and meet him. I said okay, so I went up to him, and when I was standing there, this little kid was in front of him and everything, and he walks up, and Abdullah's manager was standing there. I don't know, I can't recall what his manager's name is. I'm pretty sure you know.
Was
his
it
name,
Armstrong?
Yes. He was standing there with him, and he looks at the kid and he says, "Hey kid, you got a pen?" And he says, "No." And he says, "Go get a pen." And so the kid runs off and everything because he's scared to death the way the guy's talking to him. He goes gets a pen and everything, and Abdullah signs the autograph. So I'm next, and I walk over to Abdullah, and he don't say nothing to me. He looks up at me and he just stares at me. I'm like, what do you want me to do? I say, you want me to sit down in the chair? And he kind of nods, and so I sat down in the chair, and I'm sitting there. I'm like, woo! I'll be glad when this is over with, man. I don't know. I don't know what he's going to do. So I grab I grab a hold of his hand, and we do a handshake pose, and I got in a picture with him. He was pretty neat though. He had that fear element to him, and I know that's part of his character and everything, but I thought that was pretty cool. And another story that I'll tell you really quickly, and then we'll get back into the interview, was the Boogeyman. I know you know the Boogeyman well. The Boogeyman, he was at another show that I went to, and it was so funny. This lady had walked up to the Boogeyman to get his autograph and to meet him, and the Boogeyman says "boo" like that, and whenever he says "boo" right in the lady's face, the lady, I kid you not, she throws her hands up in the air and she runs screaming out of the building, and she never returned. So I thought that was so funny though. But so back to the territories and everything. Have you ever had the honor of meeting Jerry Jarrett?
Believe so.
Okay, because that's
I have met
Jeff. Okay, you met Jeff. Okay, yeah, I knew you probably knew Jeff and everything. So what was it like? What was it like for you being a part of the New Fantastics with your dad?
It was really cool.
So did y'all go to different states and wrestle as the New Fantastics, or just in certain areas?
We went into different places and stuff.
Okay, well that's pretty interesting, and I know it had to be an honor to know Tommy as well. The late Tommy Rogers.
Never met him.
you didn't? Oh, okay.
Never did.
Okay. Okay. I just thought I would ask on that and see. So what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on Ring of Honor?
I've never watched it.
Oh, you haven't never watched Ring? Okay. Okay. Well, so
actually, I take that back. I watched the show in Dallas, Texas. Mm-hmm.
Oh, did
when I was down there for
so
WrestleCon a couple years ago.
Oh, wow. So who wrestled on there? Can you remember?
I don't remember. Kerry Silken had me and my dad come and watch it for a little while.
Okay.
And I went and visited with some of the WWE guys at their hotel and everything.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So I know that your dad recently retired from the business, and then I know that Shane Douglas had called him out, and there was a street fight and all that I think that took place. But the reason I brought that up is I wanted to ask you, because I know you do so much in this business, to help guys out,
mm-hmm.
whether it's a wrestler, a manager, a promoter, and I want to talk to you about the promoting and the booking part. So whenever it comes down to a show like that, where you got Shane Douglas and you got your dad, Bobby Fulton, whenever they got together and wrestled, what does it take to actually get a show together, get all the talent together, and book it, and how long does it actually take? Because I know a lot of people think that it's just a snap of the fingers, but I'm sure there's a lot more work that goes into it that you have to put into it yourself.
You talking about like booking for a show?
Yeah,
that's pretty easy. I can usually get that done in a day. Booking a show, getting the wrestlers booked for it and everything, I can usually get that done in a day. Because I have about everybody's contact that's a wrestler.
Oh, okay. Well, I know usually on other other genres out there, it takes a while on getting stuff together and stuff to fix stuff. So what about on promoting? I mean, is that the same thing? It don't take that long?
20 days out, you got to put your posters up and everything. You want to at least start having your posters be put out 20 days out. You want 10 days. You'll usually have a week before the show that you're done with your posters and everything, and then you could do your radio spots and everything during that time.
Okay, that's very cool. And another thing that I was curious about, do you have to have a promoter or a booking license, like to hold an event in a certain state? Because certain states have regulations and stuff.
Yeah, it depends on the state. Ohio, you have to have one.
Okay, because I know in some states they don't allow. I believe it's the UFC. I don't think they allow that, and I think in some states they don't allow wrestling, I believe.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think about every state allows wrestling.
Okay,
every state allows wrestling.
Maybe it's the UFC thing I'm thinking about then.
Yeah, it'd be the UFC because a lot of states have outlawed it.
Yeah, okay. That's what I'm thinking about on that. So, I saw a picture of you from the past where you had like a wizard hat on, and I wanted to ask you, good doctor, did you get that idea from the Grand Wizard, the late Grand Wizard?
Okay, he's one of my favorite managers of all time.
Oh,
he's one of my favorite managers of all time. And I'm the only one that is doing there's guys that do that character, but I'm the only one who does it to a full effect. But I make it my own also. I've heard people say that I'm one of the best at doing the Grand Wizard, character. But I make it my own also.
Wow. That is that's so amazing. I mean, to be able to look up to somebody, admire them, and then take their legacy and continue their legacy on. I mean, that's wonderful. And I know that you're also now. I don't know if you're still doing this or not, but I know that you were the managers of the Powers of Fame, Barbarian and Warlord. Are you still their managers?
Yeah.
Okay.
And next
so
weekend I'll be managing. I'm the manager of the Barbarian. Next weekend I'll be managing the Facebook there. Sometimes, most of the time, I manage Barbarian by himself with shows and stuff. But
wow.
Yeah, I manage Powers of Fame too.
So you'll be managing next weekend. You'll be managing Barbarian and Ming.
Yeah.
Wow. So what? So have you ever had a situation to where? And I'm not talking about real life. I'm talking about in character. Have you ever had a situation in character where Barbarian or Ming will kind of get mad at you because Ming was a powerful force in WCW with that Tongan death grip that he applied on the opponents.
Mm-hmm. Now, first off, what do you mean by in character? There's no such thing as character. So a character would have to be something like a movie. That is not how professional wrestling is. Professional wrestling is like a basketball game or something. It's real.
Okay, well,
they practice for it and everything. You're trained to become a professional wrestler. It's an athletic sport.
Okay, well,
and no,
realism is what I mean.
They've never been mad at me for anything, as we're like family.
What about me?
Next week will be first time meeting him.
Oh, wow.
I think I met him one time.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So, have you ever managed any guys that don't speak good English? I mean, they talk Japanese and a little bit of English. I mean, have you ever managed any guys like that?
Well, guys that I've managed the Sheik of Syria, he speaks Arabic. I've managed Barbarian. He speaks broken English. I've managed many different guys.
So, do you have to, whenever you manage them, do you know the language that they're speaking, or do you have to get like an interpreter?
Yes, I know the language that they are speaking.
Okay, and I want to know this now. I know you've managed a lot of guys. You've met a lot of guys through the years. Have you ever had the honor or privilege of meeting the Tokyo Monster?
I don't even know who that is.
Okay, he's in the NWA.
Thank you so much.
He's been managed recently by Sonny Ono down at UCW, Universal Championship Wrestling.
Can I have some tartar, please?
The one that
sorry about that.
Ronnie Gossett managed. Oh, that's fine. He's been managed by Sonny Ono down at UCW, the one that Ronnie Gossett runs.
I don't even know what UCW is.
Oh, yeah. You know the company that Ronnie Gossett runs.
Yeah, I think I worked for him one time.
Okay. I heard
they've been false advertising people is what I heard about that promotion.
Yeah, a couple years ago, they did that with Ric Flair. They announced he was coming, and Ric Flair said he didn't even know anything about it, and so that never even came to tuition or anything. And
guys like that should be able to run.
No, they shouldn't. And I've heard a lot about him as well. And it's just like the other promoter. I know you know this promoter's name, Greg Green. That fiasco that happened in Dudley, Georgia, with all those legends that were booked, and that was horrible. And you're right, they shouldn't be allowed to run, and I don't even know how guys like that get a license, to run.
Well, that's the problem with. I was saying something. That's the problem with not having.
go ahead.
A lot of states don't have commissions. I'm going for a law degree right now.
Uh-huh.
After I get my law degree and after I become an attorney and everything, I plan on working for the commissions, and I'm going to outlaw a lot of promotions out there. There's going to be a lot of requirements, a lot more requirements. Everything's going to be a lot more stricter than what it is.
Well, that would be good. You should. And speaking of stricter, it's very interesting you brought that up. I just read today that the USA Network has told Vince McMahon that beginning next Monday that he's not allowed to have Monday Night Raw to overrun to 11:05 or 11:15. They have to go off the air at 11 o'clock, just like SmackDown does. So I thought that was very interesting. And, I think that's about time because he's had that overrun for, how many years now? I think since the 90s, I believe. So he's had it a long time, and, I don't think that's called for. Do you have any upcoming appearances that you would like to promote here on the show? Because I know we got about 3 minutes left. And also, can you promote your Facebook show as well you got?
I no longer do the Facebook show, but this weekend I'll be doing this weekend I'll be in New York with Abdullah the Butcher. We're going to be appearing all weekend long. We're going to be doing the big event Saturday morning, Warriors of Wrestling Saturday night, and then Abdullah the Butcher will be live in the studio for the Monty and Pharaoh show. I think it's Monty and Pharaoh or something like that. So the entire weekend there's all kinds of appearances for Abdullah the Butcher. Next weekend I'll be in the historic Dorton Arena in Raleigh, North Carolina with the Faces of Fear. I'll be managing them, and then I'll be managing them in Prince George, Virginia. The following weekend I'll be at Russell Cade Weekend, which will be in Winston-Salem, North Carolina at the Benton Convention Center. The following weekend on the Friday, November 30th, I'll be appearing at World Classic Professional Big Time Wrestling, which is my event and everything. We got Boogeyman, we have Billy Gunn, we have all kinds of great stars. We got Mikey Whipwreck, Shane Douglas, Abdullah the Butcher, pretty much anybody you could pretty much want to meet will be there. And then at WrestleCade, have Bob Orton Jr., Abdullah the Butcher, Bobby Fulton of the Fantastics, the Barbarian, and several others there as well.
Incredible. Wow. You heard it, folks, and if you're in those areas, go out and check out those great shows with such legends as Abdullah the Butcher, Mikey Whipwreck, Shane Douglas, Bobby Fulton, the Boogeyman, the Barbarian, Ming, and so many more. The Good Doctor's doing a great job at doing all this promotion and stuff, and he's a booker and a promoter. He's doing a great job, and he's also a wrestler and a manager. So he's just like the jack of all trades. I mean, he's doing great. And Good Doctor, I want to thank you so much for being a part of the WSE Lounge today. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule. I hope you have a great dinner and a great church service tonight, or if you're having church tonight, or just having a outing with your pastor. But hope you have a great service and everything. And thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you so much.